This video is going to go over a few bow basics, and this applies to violin, viola, cello, and bass. So here I have a violin bow, and when you take your bow out of its case, it should be loose. So what I mean is, when you look at the bow, you should notice the hair looks a little bit loose, and the hair is close to the stick. Okay, and it's okay if a few of the hairs look like they're apart from the other ones. So before you play, we need to make sure that your bow is tightened. So I'm going to take the screw at the bottom and turn the screw just enough, and I'm keeping an eye here where the hair and the stick are. And I'm keeping an eye, and now I'm going to tighten it until the hair is about a pencil's width away from the stick. Maybe for cello and bass, it'll be a little more than that, but not much more. Okay, so if you look, this is about the width of a pencil between, right? Notice I'm not sticking my pencil through the bow. What we want to make sure is that we're not over tightening our bow. So some students tighten it, and then what happens is there's a natural curve that's supposed to be in the bow stick. And if you tighten it too much, that curve goes away, and then your bow doesn't work like it should. So we want to make sure that we're not over tightening our bows. It can also cause the hair at the tip of the bow to pull out, and then we have a broken bow on our hands. Equally as important, when you are done playing, you have to loosen your bow, and kind of for the same reason. The bow, in order to make the hair tight, we increase the tension on the hair. And if that tension's on the bow all the time, again, the hair can pop out, the hair can get stretched out, and then we have a bow that doesn't work. So it's really important to always tighten your bow before you play. And then before you put it back in its case, we loosen the bow. So I'm turning the screw to the left, lefty-loosey. And again, now look, again, this hair is close to the stick. A couple of other really important things about caring for your bow. Your hands should never, ever, ever touch the horse hair. I sometimes see students check if the bow is tight enough by bouncing on their hands, and that we should not do that. It's not good for the horse hair because our skin has oil in it, but also it's just not necessary. We can use our eyes to see if our bow is tightened enough, and this doesn't really tell us anything about whether or not our bow is ready to be used. Also, remember, your bow is designed only to play your instrument, so we should never let the tip of our bow touch the ground. We should never use the bow to help us like fetch pencils off of the floor or turn the page on our music. And all of those things will help us make sure that our bows last a really long time. Finally, rosin. So you should be rosining your bow a couple of times a week. I usually say once every 1 to 2 hours of playing your instrument. So since we have class a couple of times a week, that's about an hour and a half. So you should be rosining your bow at least twice a week, assuming you are practicing regularly at home, which you should be. Some students, when they get a new rosin, think they need to like scratch the rosin to get it to work, and you don't. So when you get a new rosin, all you need to do is use it. So if you get a brand new bow and a brand new rosin at the same time, you may have to sit there for a few minutes and really rosin the bow to get it going. But once it's going, you'll see that there's like a nice film on the top. Okay, so you rosin your bow a little extra at the frog and then a little extra at the tip, and you go back and forth. And that's all you need to do, just like that, twice a week. For basses, it's slightly different because you have a different type of rosin. So basses should always only go from the frog to the tip of the bow, not back and forth. But that's the only exception. Violin, viola, and cello all have the same rosin, the same principle. A little at the frog, a little at the tip. I like to keep my thumb right here so that it doesn't chip the side, although you see mine is a little chipped here. But I've had the same rosin for years, and it's lasted. So that's how we care for our bow. To make sure that it's always sounding good. If you ever find that you're having to push down really hard, or it sounds like your bow's not making a big sound on the string, think about when the last time you rosined was, because chances are that's the issue. So hope this is helpful, and take care of your bows.